Hello, 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 hello. This worked out successfully. All right, y'all. We back on YouTube. We got a poll in there. Get to answering it, get to answering it, get to answering it. We are back, baby. We are back. All right. Yeah, I posted right before I went live. Shout out to Pam Witt, Pam 69, Pam Witt 69. I just gave her a shout out because she hit me up earlier today to say, hey, I heard Jerry Judy was working out with Deshaun in South Florida. All I heard was working out with Deshaun. I was like, what? Jerry Judy making the rounds, the QB rounds. Is Jerry Judy feeling the pressure for the quarterbacks to throw the ball to him after he led the league and dropped passes? And the Browns invited Cornell Tate to the 30 for 30. Jerry Judy feeling the pressure. Who he gonna work out with next? Who he gonna work out with next? Dylan? Or is he gonna be sharing a locker with the new guy like he did with Flacco? I'm just saying, had you done your job last year, you wouldn't be out here begging for balls. I'm just saying. That's what happens. See now, like the ones that came in with a 79 and an 80 PFF and exited with a 47, you gotta swim upstream. And hope that you the go-to. Here's the thing. You weren't the go-to wide receiver last year. I mean, you were, but when the season ended, you were being paid like a wide receiver one or a tight end one, but you were the number two. You weren't the one, you were the two. So you running around trying to cozy up to two and want to cozy up to four. They should gonna be cozying up to 8, and the new guy maybe gonna be wearing number 10. I don't know. I'm just saying. That's what happens when you don't do your job. You have to kiss eggs. You have to kiss eggs so they can throw you the ball. You have to kiss eggs. You have to work extra hard so they don't replace you. But they're going to do that anyway. So check it out. I got a poll over there. It says, should Jerry Judy be traded? Let me know. Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? I want to see how many of y'all say yes. And I want to see how many of y'all say no. Yes or no? Let me know. Should Jerry Judy be traded? I say absolutely. I say absolutely. Quick, fast, in a hurry. Can you do it? Can you do it right now? Can you do it right now? I heard you got some money over there. Can you do it right now? Shout out to y'all. I see y'all getting on in here. We didn't have an intro, so I'm gonna give y'all some time. Normally, I know I let y'all run around with an intro for about 3 minutes, but we on YouTube. We got a poll. See, you got to give up some functionality sometime. I had to give up. I wanted a poll. I'm like, I have questions. I'll be asking all these questions. Should the Browns trade Jerry Judy before training camp? Let's see. So far, somebody said no. I know who it is. Raise your hand if you said no. I need to see who you are. We ain't gonna kick you out. You fam. We won't do that around here. The only way you get kicked out over here is if you disrespect me, the chat, Shedeur, Shiloh, Bucky, Coach Prime, Snow, DeAndrea, your mama, or common sense. That's it. That is it. All right, y'all take the poll. All right, get on in here. I'm so happy. All right, so the Browns are for sale. Is that what it say on the thumbnail? The Browns are for sale. April Fools. I asked the question. Is it April Fools or wishful thinking? It is wishful thinking. The Browns, ownership, and Jerry Judy can get the hell on. GTFOH. ASAP. PLEASE. RN, and not a nurse. RN. Right now. Right now. right? I saw Shiloh earlier. Shout out to Tamika. She let me know. I did get the notification, Tamika, and I popped into the Twitch stream. Shiloh and Bucky and Florida and Shedeur looked like they were in Miami, vibing out at dinner. I think Brittany popped up. So go check that out on Twitch. We'll probably review it tomorrow. I like to give their time, their content time to breathe before I just dive right in and we look at it. We can look at it tomorrow. The Browns are for sale. Nope, it's April Fools. It would have been nice though. It would have been nice. 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 Y'all know I be having wishes and they be coming true, right? That's one of my wishes. I want the Browns to be for sale. Let me be very specific. I want the Cleveland Browns, the football team in the NFL that's in Cleveland, Ohio. The colors are orange and brown. Quarterback Shedeur Sanders wears number 2, Deshaun number 4. Somebody else gonna come along. I want the Browns to be for sale to owner or ownership group like a Magic Johnson that knows what to do with a ball club, that actually wants to win, that actually spends the money on the club to compete for the Super Bowl, the one that they play every year. Not somebody who don't even know a franchise quarterback, a starting quarterback, a good quarterback if they see one. In fact, that's what people are saying about Haslam, the owner. The comments go something like he wouldn't know a good quarterback if it bit it. I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Because having money doesn't make you qualified to own an NFL team. It means you can buy it. But to be honest with you, if a private equity firm wanted to take over, cool. Because one thing about a private equity firm, they're going to want to make some money. They're not going to give a damn if the quarterback is black. Oh, I don't want to win with him because he's black. That's what's wrong with current ownership. And somebody hit me up and said, oh, you saying they mistreating the quarterbacks, but they gave Deshaun $230 million fully guaranteed. I'm like, it obviously wasn't to play football. Duh. It obviously was for another reason. And while he over here, we're going to hold him hostage. But we're going to share something. Because I told y'all yesterday I wanted to come back and talk about some things that Haslam said. And it rung a bell with something we had reviewed that came out about Shedeur before the draft. And I'm like, could this be the same group of people talking? Yeah. So we're going to get on in there. We're going to see what it is. But first, let me tell you what it is Haslam said. So I'm over here at the bottom right. It was by Daniel Oyefuse, March 30th. Today is April 1st. So it said, Browns owner Jimmy Haslam on Shedeur Sanders. I was in Cleveland 2 or 3 weeks ago and was working out early, and he was coming in. He's been in Cleveland most of the winter. And I think that says a lot for his dedication to wanting to be an NFL quarterback and understanding what it takes. So he's saying Shedeur coming in early, forsaking his offseason, but coming in early, even though it's not time to come in early. It says that he's been in Cleveland most of the winter and he's coming in early. I think that says a lot for his dedication. I'd agree with that. To wanting to be an NFL quarterback. So he's proven he want to be an NFL quarterback. So he come in the offseason. He come in often. He spends the winter there. He don't go and enjoy himself like others. That proves that he wants to be an NFL quarterback. And understanding what it takes. So you have to forsake your offseason. You got to come in and you got to outdo everybody else for you to be an NFL quarterback. Let me know what y'all getting from it. It said his body looks better. Not sure what the hell that means. I never thought anything was wrong with Shedeur's body before, but I think he's been working hard. I think he's been working hard. You think. You think. You just said he spent most of the winter there in Cleveland. Don't know how you know that, but maybe because he been up there. You say he been up there working out. When you get up there early, he already there. I think he's been working hard. Like that was some kind of surprise or is different from last year. It said, now this is the part right here. So I think it's hard for a lot of college kids to understand what it takes to play in the NFL and particularly quarterback. Now, we ain't talking shit to do with skills. Understand that. We are not talking about skills. We are talking about giving up your off season. We are talking about you being the only one up there working while everybody else is on vacation. We are talking about your body look better than it did before when there was nothing wrong with your body before. Understand. This man is saying that because Shedeur want to eat and sleep up there and forego his offseason, he know what it takes to be a goddamn quarterback. We ain't even got the training camp. We haven't even gotten to April 7th. We haven't gotten to the time frame where Shedeur been throwing around the ball or nothing. He didn't say he saw Shedeur video and he looked good throwing the ball. He's talking about Shedeur giving up his goddamn life to play football. I want you to understand that that is what he is talking about. That is what he is talking about. It didn't matter how good Shedeur was. It wasn't good enough for Shedeur to win the Johnny Unitas Award, the Peyton Manning Award. It wasn't good for Shedeur to be the best quarterback coming out of college. No, he got to eat and sleep up here. He got to let us abuse him all goddamn season and don't quit. And then the next season, eat and sleep up here. And when everybody enjoying vacation, you come up here and slave like a goddamn dog. That's what he got to do. That's what he got to do. So I think a lot of college kids don't know what it takes to be a quarterback. I bet you, goddamn it, Mendoza don't have to eat and sleep up there. We already know they used to give Kirk Cousins Tuesdays off. So Shedeur, while he didn't have to submit his blackness and take his stitch braids out, he did have to show how badly he wanted it. He did have to go through being abused to get it. Which lets us know you understand this ain't got shit to do with your talent. You now understand that you have to bark like a dog when we tell you to for you to be a quarterback in the NFL because you black. But we do not expect that of the people who look like Kirk Cousins. Jimmy Haslam can go straight to hell. This is why the Browns need to be for sale. After he's been abused and was allowed to be abused by Haslam. After you see him up there eating and sleeping up there instead of enjoying his life, the fruits of his labor. See, the problem is they gave Deshaun $230 million guaranteed, but they didn't want him to enjoy it. They let Shedeur be a quarterback, but I don't want you to enjoy it. And this is after I abused you or let him abuse you. I don't want you to enjoy yourself as a quarterback in the National Football League. I just want to contain you so you don't go off and start your own league with the rest of the guys that we abused. Or so you don't go to Canada or the UFL or make a name for yourself elsewhere. I think Shedeur, listen to this shit. I think Shedeur got an education in that. And my instincts are he'll come back ready to play. He was ready to play last year. I didn't forget the Panthers game where he looked like a pro quarterback. But see, the problem is he hadn't been abused and broken yet. He hadn't bowed down to kiss the ring of the white man he hadn't given up his off season. He didn't eat and sleep there yet. He had been abused and broken yet. But my instincts tell me that we did just enough to break him. Because we see him up here eating and sleeping and giving up his workouts, his free time. So since he now knows that he's not allowed to enjoy himself as a black football in the National Football League, my instincts tell me he'll be ready to play, that he'll come in, shut the hell up, don't say shit, don't promote yourself, don't celebrate yourself, just come on in here and throw the goddamn ball where and to whom we tell you and go home. That's what he's talking about. Baby. This man has not seen a goddamn thing since the last snap in a Browns football game that he would sit up here and say this ignorant shit. This man is a demon. Do you understand me? This man right here, and I ain't talking about Shedeur, is a goddamn demon. And he need to go straight to hell where demons lie. Because he don't think Shedeur deserves to be a quarterback in NFL unless he grovels for it, unless he give up his offseason for it. He didn't say shit about his skill set. Not one time. But after he's been abused, after his house has been robbed, after he gives up his offseason, after they see him up there, my instincts tells me he'll be ready. Now, the worst thing that could happen is they do get a white quarterback. And he ain't got to do none of that shit. Because if you think Arch Manning going to have to give up his offseason and eat and sleep up there, and if you think they going to abuse him, if you think he going to have to jump through hoops and grovel and prove anything, you don't know what's going on. And here's the thing. They so maniacal, they'll let it all play out in Shedeur's face. So he can wonder what's the difference. Why Arch Manning don't have to do this? Why Arch Manning don't have to do that? Because that's what they want you to know. You got to beg and grovel and get abused and be broken because you black. They didn't say shit about his skill set. And he didn't say shit about his skill set. And in the draft, he was entitled. They didn't say shit about his skill set. So what it tells you is that Shedeur was premeditated, pushed down in the draft, robbed the $40 million because they don't think he deserved it. That's why. And he couldn't be QB1. He had to be abused because they think he deserved it. They think he deserved to be abused. They think he deserved, in order to be a quarterback in the NFL, that you can't enjoy your offseason. They think he deserved to be up there slaving, up there working every goddamn day so they could see and approve of what he doing. They don't think he deserved to live his life. They don't think he deserved to be celebrated, but they did think he deserved to be abused. They did think he deserved to be robbed of $46 million. They did think he deserved to be humiliated. They did think he deserved to have his pinky stepped on. They did think it was okay for Stefanski to abuse him. They did think it was okay for him to be robbed. They thought all that shit was okay. They thought it was okay for Jerry Judy to be lead the league in drop passes. And he out here hoeing himself out with all the quarterbacks so he could get the ball. See, you should have did your goddamn job. See now, when the Browns finish with you, who gonna want you? Who gonna want you? You're gonna have to cozy up to every goddamn quarterback out here to get them to trust you because they saw what you did. You ain't charismatic, bro. You ain't Jesus. So to hell with this man. This didn't have shit to do with Shedeur's skill set. But he had to be abused enough until they say, okay, I think he's ready. He had to be ignored enough. He had to be devalued enough. He had to be derailed enough. He had to be discounted enough until they said, okay, we think he's ready. This had nothing to do with his skill set. It's how bad do you want it? Because we don't think you deserve it. Even if you are the best, you're black. Period. You know what Deshaun gets? I was on Reddit today. Because when Pam told me about, I'm going to take this off the screen, y'all. When Pam told me about Jerry Judy working out with Deshaun, I was like, okay, I told her I was going to look into it. I appreciate it, right? So I went to do my research and I landed on Reddit. And they were talking about Jerry Judy working out with Deshaun. But do you know what they were talking about? Oh, let's hope he stay away from the so-and-so massage day parlor. That's all they talk about. That's all they talk about. So his trade-off was to let him pay out all of these damn civil suits and to protect their reputation after destroying his, likely due to retaliation, because he was not the only one. Justin Tucker told you that. The trade-off was, you gonna protect us and you gonna pay back all of these his suits. And we're gonna give you $230 million hush money. And that's gonna protect our reputation. And you gonna live on out the rest of your life that people know you to be a football player, being humiliated, reputation forever trashed as some kind of perv. But I don't hear shit about Justin Tucker. So I want to share what I told y'all. It recalled something that we talked about last year, right? I want to share that post that I marked up with all of those damn Sharpies. And then I want to share what the owner said about Deshaun last year. And I want you to think about what's going on, where the owner's concerned with Deshaun this year. And I want to know how you resolve this. All right. Okay, I'm down at the right, at the bottom, okay? Okay, so as you can see, to the left is color coded. I marked this up. This was put by an anonymous coach when Shedeur was coming out of college, right before the draft. And over to the right, somewhere around March, it was said by the owner, the Deshaun Watson trade was a big swing and miss. So hold us accountable, right? This is what he's saying. Now, mind you, this is coming into last year. And here we are 365 days later. And the owner says, I think Deshaun has a chance at starting. Hold up a minute. I thought you said the Deshaun Watson trade was a big swing and miss. So hold us accountable. And now, after you have him sit on the bench and ridiculed and ostracized since 2022, and you use this statement that's on your screen by Jimmy Haslam to pivot away from Shedeur to get Dillon and Flacco and Pickett. Well, that's what you want us to believe. Because you still had Deshaun. Don't you still have Deshaun? So now Deshaun fit to play. That's what I'm going to get. So he not trash no more. The trade wasn't a big swing and miss. This is why this team needs to be sold to someone else. So he gets to kick on these players. He gets to trash their reputations. He gets to make them look like fools and humiliate them and say they trash. But when he want to pit two black quarterbacks together, like Deshaun and Shedeur, oh, Deshaun is no longer trash because he's useful. And holding back the other guy that clearly I don't give a shit about his skills. I need him to bark like a dog when I say so because he black and he want to be a quarterback on my team. This man is a damn demon. And this is exactly what the hell it is I'm talking about. You just called Deshaun trash. You actually, when you put this statement out last year, you undermined your general manager. I was reading another post from last year that somebody posted where the owner attributed Shedeur being drafted, saying that Andrew Berry wanted him, which is further from the truth. At the time of the draft, that's further from the truth. When I remember when this statement came out, Jimmy Haslam, the Deshaun Watson trade was a big swing and miss. So hold us accountable. So your GM is also trash. And this is why you couldn't get Shedeur. But you got the Shedeur and Deshaun. And now you want to, I didn't hear you backtrack these words. I didn't hear you say, you know what? I said the trade was a big swing and miss, but it wasn't. Was it or was it not? Because you haven't wanted Deshaun to play because you insisted he was trash. But after an insurance company pays his $46 million, suddenly I think Deshaun has a chance to start. Deshaun better than me. That's what $230 million is for. Shut the hell up while we humiliate, embarrass, and ostracize you and ruin your reputation. Take this money and shut the hell up. That's what the $230 million is for. It clearly was not for football. And Shedeur didn't even get that. But he's supposed to shut the hell up and bark when we tell you to, because we know you want to play football. We know you can play football, but we don't think you're worthy because you're black. And when they do bring in a white quarterback, just like you paying attention to what they said about Deshaun last year, and you see how they have flipped that shit, I want you to pay attention on when they bring a white quarterback through there as a QB1 and see if he got to sleep and eat up there and see if he have to spend his off seasons and see if they want him to prove anything. Because they think you going to forget. I didn't forget. I still have all of the same shit from last year. I have 1,600 videos between last year and this year, and I just started live streaming in October of 25. So I got receipts. But this is what the $230 million was for. Hush money. While we destroy you, destroy your reputation, destroy your career. We will do what we want to do with you. Deshaun's wife is right. They need to relocate after this season and say, you know what? If they offer him a little measly contract, thank you, but no thank you. Go live your goddamn life. Walk out on your terms and don't come back. If you want to play football that bad, if you love the game of football that bad, then take some of that money and go start a league with the rest of the black players that's been ostracized and humiliated and reputations destroyed because all of them didn't get the money. Go join up with Russell Wilson. And y'all saw how he was treated by Sean Payton, who was in New Orleans when Bounty Gate was happening. And what quarterback was targeted in Bounty Gate? Cam Newton. See all of them guys right there? Russell Wilson, Cam Newton, Deshaun, Shedeur, they need to put their resources together and go start their own league. You cannot say you love the game of football more than you love yourself. They want you to be quiet, cool. When the contract over, leave and use some of that money to go start the game of football so you can build up for the next generation so they can tell this goddamn sorry-ass team, no thank you. That's what you do. It ain't enough money in the world for somebody to humiliate and ruin your reputation and ostracize you and take away the game that you love and only want to use you to pit you against another black man. It ain't enough money in the world for that. Be smart about it. Go flip that shit and start your own with the rest of the guys that I just aforementioned. It ain't enough money for that because people not going to respect you. Meanwhile, they don't have shit to say about Justin Tucker, so they so quiet about him. I don't even know what team he on. And when he left Baltimore, they were like, well, his performance was lacking. They didn't even want to embarrass him. They didn't even want to embarrass him. And when he got busted and the women came forward, which is unlike what happened with Deshaun, you know the first thing they put out in media, how pretty his wife was. They didn't want to embarrass him or his family because they're white. But they want to make a mockery of Deshaun because he's black. And they know goddamn well he wasn't the only one. That's some bullshit, bruh. If y'all want people to respect y'all, y'all better take that damn money and go start your own league. Because if y'all keep being quiet and taking that money, y'all going to be on the island. They had y'all standing right there in front of Abercrombie & Fitch, and half y'all don't even know what the hell that meant. And it was streamed by Disney, and I bet you don't know what that means either. You better go do some homework. If you want people to respect you, you're going to have to respect yourself. And shrinking yourself to greatness to be a part of an organization that don't respect you as a black man ain't going to help you in life. When this shit is over, you're going to be drinking and drunk. And that's what you're going to be doing. Because you're going to have to live with everything they did to you. And you end up with nothing. So last year, this is what was said about Shedeur. This was supposedly from an anonymous person, right? Who said one NFL longtime assistant coach said that his time with Shedeur Sanders was the worst formal interview I've ever been to in my life. We already knew that was a lie, right? So I'm gonna keep going. And it said he's so entitled. He takes unnecessary sacks. I highlighted it, so it's hard for me to read. He takes unnecessary sacks. Let me see. Hold on one second. I think I have it. Hold on one second. One second. Give me 1 second. Here it is right here. All right. I'm looking at it on a different screen, y'all. Okay. Now I can read it better. It says, one longtime NFL assistant coach said that his time with Shedeur Sanders was the worst formal interview I've ever been to in my life. That was a quote. He's so entitled. Quote. It said he takes unnecessary sacks. He never plays on time. That's fabricated. It said he has horrible body language. Now, didn't this man just say his body looked better? And I was like, what the hell was wrong with his body? I want you see it's in green. I want you to stick on that point for a minute. He has horrible body language. And Haslam said his body looked better. I don't know. Right? Let me keep going. It said he blames teammates. Shedeur didn't blame nobody for anything last year. Am I right? Did they want him to blame Jerry Judy? Is that what Jerry Judy harassing Shedeur was about? So Shedeur could blame him? It said, but the biggest thing is he's not that good. Now that's a lie, right? The biggest thing is he's not that good. So these people, and people know who this is, went through the trouble to defame and lie on Shedeur to do what? To devalue him. See, these words were to devalue him so that nobody would draft him in the first round or the second, but he wasn't on the board after some point because Barry said it. He wasn't on our draft board. And we already know from Boomer Esiason, they took him off the draft board. I also know from researching the NFL that when one team moves away, they all do. But we know, in addition to that, they physically took his name off the draft board, whether it was digital or whether they had a damn a sticker or something, a magnet. The point is, he was up there and they removed him because he was entitled. So whoever wrote this need to be sued under the ground. But let me tell you what I'm noticing about some of this language in this anonymous assistant coach post. Jimmy Haslam has said some of these things. going to Shedeur's body. When we read this last year and we got to the point in green, he has horrible body language. I thought that was insane. And after Jimmy Haslam has said Shedeur's body looked better, I didn't see nothing wrong with his body. I didn't see anything wrong with it. That's one of those comments that makes you wonder, what the hell are you really talking about? Because you're not making any sense. You're not making any sense. But the biggest thing is, he's not that good. What did they try to prove when Shedeur got to Cleveland? That he wasn't that good. What did they lie and say? They lied and said he couldn't read the playbook. I saw somebody posted about that on X a few days ago. They were like, it don't matter if he get the number 2. He still can't read the playbook. He still can't read defenses. You see? You see the similarities of what they did to Shedeur in Cleveland? Now that time has passed, you come back to this statement right here. You see how what was said about Shedeur and what was done to Shedeur is the same? Do you see that? Do you see the correlation to Shedeur being abused and to Haslam allowing Shedeur to be abused, and to Haslam talking about Shedeur's body look better, and we talking about the body language, and he's not that good, and Haslam allowed Stefanski after the Browns evaluated Shedeur at their number 2 to try to prove he's not that good. Do you see the correlation into what was said and how Shedeur was treated? Interesting. It goes on to say, when you hear all of the anecdotal stories about the person. Now let's take a moment into when you hear all the anecdotal stories about the person. Imagine you are new to a job, and when you get to the break room or y'all go out to lunch, they telling you about one person that's in the bathroom. And everybody got a story about how this person isn't good, this, that, and the other. But you don't know for yourself. I want you to think about Flacco when he first joined the Browns. They had him sharing a locker with who? Jerry Judy. And then when Shedeur was trying to warm up to him, Flacco treated Shedeur like he was sitting at the table and Shedeur was in the bathroom, and everybody was sharing anecdotal stories about how Shedeur is a bad guy and don't get to know him and he this, that, and the other. So that when Shedeur come out the bathroom and join to the table, Flacco was cold. Tell me I'm wrong. I can go find the video. You see how what they're saying right here before the draft is how Shedeur was treated after the draft in Cleveland? Do you see it? It's not that he's a bad kid. You know who else said that? Stefanski. Andrew Berry. Day 3 of the draft. He's a great kid. Both of them said it. His draft selection pick or whatever didn't have nothing to do with how he was going to be treated, and it was. You see how what they said about Shedeur, Andrew Berry, Stefanski, Haslam, everything they said about Shedeur was said before the draft. That shit is just crazy, right? I mean, what kind of coincidence is that? It's not. Coincidences don't exist. They don't exist. So the question is starting to formulate. Did the Browns, who was going to draft Shedeur at number 2, put this story out here knowing he wasn't going to be on his draft board, and so nobody else would get him, because for some reason they felt the need to humiliate, embarrass, devalue, derail, and ostracize. All 5 of these things happened after Shedeur got to Cleveland. And Andrew Berry picked up his little device and tried to get his former boss in Baltimore to get Shedeur at 145, which you heard Monkey talk about. And then his brother in Philadelphia. Try to get him over there. So Andrew Berry only could use his connections, so it seemed. to try to move Shedeur off the Browns after the Browns was supposed to get Shedeur. Do you know how much courage it took Shedeur to go work for the Browns, who said they was going to get him, but devalued him? And here we are 365 days later, and the language used by higher ups in the Browns is right here in front of us, color coded in different color Sharpies. Do you see that? This ain't even, we can take the robbery aside and focus strictly on this right here. And it's given that the Browns themselves devalue Shedeur because they reeled him in intentionally, pretending to be interested. And when everybody else had their quarterback, oops, we still have Deshaun. And Deshaun was trash as long as an insurance company was paying. But now that an insurance company not paying and Shedeur's over there and I need to stop him because I actually do know he's good, I'm going to use Deshaun against him. But I don't even want to get a white quarterback and put him in this situation. Last year, it was Dylan. Let's see who it's going to be this year. Anthony Richardson, Taylor Green, somebody just like Justin Tucker that they don't want to put through nothing. Somebody they don't want to make things difficult for them. So it ain't going to be white. And if he white, he going to be paid bucket loads of money like Kirk Cousins. That's exactly what the hell happened in Atlanta. See, when Atlanta got Kirk Cousins, they knew that they wanted him to try to push Michael Penix Jr. out the way, but it didn't work. It failed. So now I got Stefanski over there after maybe they think he succeeded where Dylan is concerned. So you know what? Go get another Polynesian and get Tua over there. Why nobody talking about the Falcons getting nobody out the draft? Since y'all say Michael Penix Jr. not it, when the hell did Tua get to be like that? Tua so much like that he has a $99 million dead cap hit on Miami. And it's better for it to be Tua because he's not white. Just like it was better for it to be Dylan because he wasn't white. If you think about it, they never even put Bailey Zapp in that situation. They only push Huntley out to get Zapp. And they did that to Huntley twice. You can't say you love the game, but you don't love yourself. What do you love? If you love the game of football more than you love yourself, I don't know what to tell you. Because you can clearly go create a league and play the game you love and have some self-respect. Because you keep going along with they bullshit, you're going to be on an island that looks like Nickelodeon's logo. What else is there? When you let people know that they can do whatever to you, they're going to find something to do to you. So it said it's going to be, now get this part right here. It's going to be a culture shock when he really learns how a locker room really operates. What? You mean intimidation, retaliation, coercion, harassment, division? Is that what they're talking about? You see how they said this and then this shit happened in Cleveland? Do you see that? What y'all think about that? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to read it again. It's going to be a culture shock when he really learns how a locker room really operates and how it really works inside a building. So it don't matter what you do out here. Once you learn how toxic it is on the inside, how if any black person gravitates towards you, we gonna what? We gonna eliminate their contract. If a white person gravitates towards you, we gonna bench them, and then we gonna trade them, and they gonna go start somewhere else. You see the difference? You see the difference? If Njoku gravitates towards you like he did, we not gonna renew his contract. Did they? Did he get picked up yet? Flacco got out. Where's Dylan? Njoku's still waiting. Tony Brown never got picked up. Wyatt Teller's a starter in the Texans, where we got all them linemen from last year and this year. The only black player who got any favorability is Devin Bush. And why the hell is that? I saw him gravitate towards Shedeur. I saw him on Shedeur podcast. I mean, you think he would have got cut? You think his contract would have got renewed? Why didn't his contract get terminated like Tony Brown? Like Njoku? But yet here it is. He's a starter in Chicago. And he black. So what happened to Devin Bush didn't happen to the other black guys. I want you to separate what happened to Flacco and Wyatt Teller, how they got out and moved on. And I want you to look at the black guys that hung out with Shedeur. Only Devin Bush elevated. I wonder why. And it was fast too. Notice his case out of Pittsburgh was dropped like that. December 3rd. It was supposed to continue on, and then they was going to postpone it and move it to back, and suddenly it was just dismissed. Pittsburgh. So how is it Wyatt Teller leaves after he's benched and moved out the way, and clearly his agent is upset, and he moves on with his career, and he's a starter, right? Flacco was actually over there starting for Ohio, was that Cincinnati, and they said they want him to come back. Tony Brown contract terminated. That's it. Bye. Njoku, we're gonna part ways. No other team picked him up. But Devin Bush, well, there you go. That's a curious case now, is it? And where the hell is Dylan? They don't care about Dylan not coming up there to work out and being up there and having to bark like a dog. He ain't white. Clearly, they didn't mind using him as a wedge, like a goddamn shoe between the door and a wall. So why we don't hear nothing about him? Why they not trashing him? See, here's the thing. When they talked about Lamar Jackson, and we had this conversation where his new coach was trying to punk him and to say, we trying to win a Super Bowl, so you got to come up here in your off time, your voluntary time. So they didn't want Lamar to enjoy his life either. And they put whether they would win or not on his shoulders when he done put this team on his back since he been there, and Monken decided to throw the ball to Mark Andrews, and he knew that shit wasn't going to work. And then that's 24, and then there's the Steelers game, Pittsburgh in 25. And Mike Tomlin, 18 years, $18 million a year, never had a losing season, fired. Can't even get another job unless Pittsburgh decide he can work again. But Stefanski fired, and he fails up to $15 million a year after failing the majority of the seasons he was a coach. And then there's Devin Bush, the outlier, the one that's being treated like the white guys, but he's clearly black. Wonder what you got to do to get that. What you got to do to get that? Let me know your thoughts. So, when we talked about this initially, and they said it's going to be a culture shock when he really learns how a locker room really operates. We didn't understand at the time what it meant. But now that a whole season of intimidation and retaliation and coercion and harassment and abuse has taken place, what this person was saying is that Shedeur has no idea that you will be treated like a piece of shit when you join this team, and your teammates ain't gonna do shit because they intimidated. And if they do, they will be retaliated against. And we might even use one of them who always in your face to try to take you down. And you ain't gonna be able to trust nobody because these ain't your brothers. Intimidation, retaliation, coercion, harassment, abuse. Well, how many people know that NFL locker rooms are toxic and abusive? Maybe people need to look into that shit because that don't sound like a workplace environment. It sounds criminal. Now, who remembers the last game when Shedeur was happy and he left the field? And when we saw him come to the podium, he was shook. And Jerry Judy posted, "If y'all only knew." I'm going to read this sentence one more time. And I want you to think about Shedeur being shook after being happy. It's going to be a culture shock when he really learns how a locker room really operates and how it really works inside of a building. Who also remembers Haslam being pissed off because they said the building was dysfunctional. And I said the building is an inanimate object. They mean the team culture is dysfunctional. It is toxic. The locker room is toxic. Culture shock. You expected fairness, equality, human decency, kindness, respect, treat others the way you want to be treated. And instead, you are treated to toxic, racist, criminal behavior. Then I would be shocked too. Everybody would be. But it seems that they were alluding to everybody else knows that it's toxic. And he gonna be shocked when he get there and learn. What about the rest of the guys that got there? Oh, they weren't worried about them learning because they gonna shut their mouth because intimidation, retaliation, coercion. Because Shedeur was made the example in that locker room. Shedeur was the one symbolically tied up to a tree and beaten in front of everybody else who was either intimidated, too damn scared to say anything, and if they did, they got dealt with. So what did Devin Bush do to end up as a starter in Chicago as a black player when the white players got out, but the black ones did not? How was he used in this toxic culture inside this dysfunctional ass building? It's obvious that people from Colorado had some things to say. It's obvious. That's not a surprise. The takeaway from today is how everything that we have read thus far, and we didn't know at the time, but after a season of the Browns, everything that was said played out over there. And how does that happen? Should we assume that all 32 teams are abusive, racist, toxic, or is it because whoever wrote this was in the building in Berea, working with the Browns to derail Shedeur? Let me know your thoughts. I'm going to head over to the comments. 190 y'all hit the like button. Thumbs up, thumbs up. 34 likes. 190 y'all. I work hard. Do me a favor. Please hit that like button. Thank you very much. That's all I ask. Just hit the like button. Thank you. All right. Headed over to the comments because I want to see what y'all are saying. The poll. Let's check in on the poll. It says 84% says Jerry Judy should be traded. 84% he should be traded. Well, that's enough for me. All right, I'll take it. Now I don't know who said no, but we'll deal with y'all later. We'll deal with y'all later. Y'all can tell us why later. All right. Shout out to Remind. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Appreciate you, fam. Who else is in here? Hey, Tina. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Hey, Amber. How you doing? How you doing? Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Who's that? Crowley. Hey, Crowley. Hey, fam. How you doing? Hey, Marlon. How you doing? How you doing? Marlon posted earlier. He said his mom told him. His mom taught him that you never mess with God's children. I responded, your mom was a wise woman. A wise woman. Absolutely a wise woman. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hey, Anthony, how you doing? It said, please, everyone knows Shedeur has the skills that will pay the bills. I know that's right. Do they expect the white quarterbacks to give things in the offseason? They always want to change the game for black quarterbacks. Right. In other words, if you're going to be a black quarterback, you can't have a life. You're not supposed to enjoy your money. If you get the 230 million, you're going to have to sacrifice your reputation. You're going to have to sacrifice playing. But we're going to make money back out for you because you're going to be injured and an insurance company going to pay us your salary. It said, yes, Jimmy needs to go straight to hell. I know that's right. I know that's right, Crowley. I know that's right. It said, this is a very absurd observation. It said, QBs aren't supposed to be muscle men. They need some cushion to absorb them hits. See, here's what I'm getting at, right? I'm looking at what he is saying about Shedeur's body and how Shedeur had horrible body language. And I'm like, neither one of them made sense based on the context of who and what we're talking about. Not one time has Jimmy Haslam talked about Shedeur's skill set. You know why? Because it does not matter. They showed that to the world that paid attention last year when Shedeur was the best, but he couldn't beat his QB1 because we do not think you are worthy. And if for you to be worthy, you're going to have to eat here, sleep here. You can't enjoy yourself. You can't have a life. We can't hear you or see you. And I'm going to remind you how Atlanta solved their problem last season when the fans insisted they do right and make Michael Penix Jr. the starter or they wasn't going to show up. He was injured, and there was no choice. They got their way in the end. You're dealing with some demons. That's all I'm going to keep telling you. You're dealing with some demons. You're dealing with some demons. People who believe if you are black, you are a utility. And utilities don't get to enjoy their money. And we only going to give you this money because we did something wrong. And if you hold us accountable, we going to get you. Deshaun gets 230 million. Shedeur gets robbed. Let's see who end up in Cleveland. It will be very telling. It amazes me how this doesn't apply to white QBs. Facts. It said, yes, Jimmy need to go straight to hell. Yep. It said the amusement continues. Yep. Very absurd. It said the whole statement pissed me off. Right. A lot of people were not happy with this. This man is an arrogant SOB. Straight demon. It said, I wonder why they didn't record the interview with the owner. It says, everybody knows on Wednesday that Shedeur Sanders is certainly not thirsty. I know that's right. It said, enough with the nonsense. Haslam #2 is a movement. Facts. Facts. Straight facts. Instincts need to tell you. Talking about his instincts. This man has never admitted that Shedeur is like this. But what it should tell you is, since he refuses to acknowledge his skills and talk about his skills, what the hell were you planning to draft him at #2 off the strength of an evaluation. So should we look into that and see that that was all a farce? And now, because you don't want to look at his skill set, but you looked at it when you was going to draft him, you didn't. That was a prop. You were always going to cut bait and blame Deshaun and make Andrew Berry look stupid, because you've been making Andrew Berry look stupid. But he let you pay him to look stupid. So you don't mind. You don't mind at all. You paying Deshaun to shut the hell up. But you ain't paying Shedeur. But he over there. And now 20 million people got something to say. And like the Falcons, you don't like it. But what should be happening is now people need to do what? Go back and ask. Did the Browns commit an illegal bait and switch with Shedeur, meaning they were never going to draft him, because what they have shown in the last 300 and maybe 45 days was they don't see his skill set. They don't care about his skill set. So how were you going to draft him at number 2? And now it starts to make sense why you drafted Pickett. I mean, why you signed Pickett in March. Why you went down to Colorado pretending to be interested in Shedeur and or Travis. But then you pivoted to Flacco. And you used 2 fifth-round picks to get Shedeur. And before you got to week 5, you had secured those 2 fifth-round picks by trading away Pickett and Flacco, which means when you got Pickett and Flacco, you knew what you was going to do with Shedeur. Because now it makes sense that a reporter said, why did y'all meet with Dylan in secret? Because you were meeting with Dylan the whole time, because you were never serious about Shedeur. Your job was to reel him in, to humiliate him. Y'all premeditated that draft push to 144. And it seems like you premeditated them phone calls to somewhere else, knowing he would want to go with y'all because y'all reeled him in. What did Stefanski say? I told you God works in mysterious ways. Don't give up, buddy. God works in mysterious ways. So he went with the people that lured him, just like a child lured by a predator with candy. Sets the kid up and snatches him from his parents. Don't cry, buddy. You'll be safe soon. And they set themselves up to be the hero, but they really the demon, because they want the kid to trust them. It's a whole lot of criminality happening here outside of that robbery. This was a bait and switch. This was unethical. And the longer this shit go, we're going to find out exactly when they plan this little plot. Because by October of 2024, Shedeur was the #1 player in the country. And you probably can go back and listen to when the personal assaults and attacks started against him. Because it wasn't always that way. When they beat TCU, when they beat CSU, when they beat Nebraska in 23, it was Oregon, Dan Lanning, who Dylan used to play for, that took down Colorado. So that's 23. How long they been planning to draft Arch Manning? How long they been planning to derail Shedeur? Those are the questions. Because in last year's draft, when they signed Isaiah Bond, they just knew they was getting his quarterback from Texas in 26, but things changed. Circumstances changed. So if you knew you was getting Arch Manning in 26 and 25, when did you know you was going to get Shedeur and pigeonhole him and send Andrew Berry to go meet with Shedeur at the Shrine Bowl? Was it in 2023? Or was it in 2024 when he became the #1 player in the country? And then y'all marked him for his dissent. A lot of criminality happening here. And they can hold on to Shedeur and hold him hostage like they've been doing Deshaun, because you know what the good gonna come out of it? The truth. It's up from here. He better keep his head on the swivel, because his salary isn't worth recouping from an insurance company. So him getting injured is for their satisfaction, that he does not become successful and play more than the majority of the games in the season. They have incentive to harm him. If you don't believe me, go look at Michael Penix Jr., Pat Mahomes. Look at the black quarterbacks last year and look at the season-ending injuries they sustained. And look at Joe Burrow and white quarterbacks get things like turf toe. There's a major disparity in the NFL with the way black quarterbacks are derailed and devalued. That's a scientific study that was out before Shedeur got drafted. But what we're seeing is the toxicity, the racism that Jim Crow lives and breathes in the Browns locker room for sure. How many other teams have a Jim Crow type system that the black players just put up with for the money? Hush money. You can't say you love the game and sacrifice your soul for it when you could just go start your own league and play the game you love. Yeah, I heard about it, Tina. You talking about Jaden Ivey. Yeah, I said I was going to talk about that tomorrow. Haslam should be investigated. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. They all need to be investigated. They go straight to hell. I agree. If 20 million followers are counted or not on the hush money. I know that's right. I know that's right. So what you cannot do, you cannot silence the fans. You can't even look at the game anymore like what you thought it was, because it's a lie. It seems that the game is only intended to aggressively not just force into submission the black players, but remind them that they ain't shit. And you can only work here like a sundown town. But when you ain't playing, we don't want to see you. We don't want to hear you. And when the sun go down or when the cameras go off, bye, get the hell out of here. That's why you don't see NFL players in commercials like that. That's why. Because the majority of the league is black. But it's funny, I keep seeing Peyton Manning. And they unfollowed Jay-Z after the Epstein files, but they didn't unfollow Peyton Manning. But Shedeur got to jump through hoops. These people's values are aligned with predatory behavior. That much is clear. It said they all need to be investigated and go straight to hell. I know that's right. It said Shedeur Sanders' mindset is so unbreakable to the point that Haslam, Stefanski, Tommy Rees, and all of them, even Andrew Berry can't phase him. Facts? I know that's facts. It said, is DW4 playing this year, Deshaun Watson? They said he was going to play at the end of last season. It never happened. Who knows? I say probably. I mean, here's the thing. Their goal is for Shedeur not to play the majority of the games. By hook or crook. How they going to get there? I don't know. Are they going to get somebody else? Yes. So if you got 3 quarterbacks and you got 17 games, you could divide them up. Now, understand this. Dillon ain't around there, and they not trashing him for it. So they clearly done made a deal with him. They done made a deal with him that they're going to move off of him or move off of somebody. Now, here's the thing. It's not a surprise that they talked about trading Myles Garrett. Why? Because Myles Garrett wants to win. That's pressure from Myles Garrett like it was last year. Myles Garrett has something to say about who the quarterback was. And even when he refused to talk about the quarterback situation again, he still applied pressure. And I could see them moving off of him and Dillon and possibly Quinshon and containing Shedeur and bringing Anthony Richardson over there or Taylor Green or hell, even Caden Salter over there and trying to screw over all 3 of them. Because that's what they function as, a goddamn incinerator. Yeah, you got to love yourself first. Because at the end of the day, you're going to hate yourself for letting these people use you. Because that's all they doing. And what you going to end up with? A trash reputation. You're going to hate the game, but the game ain't the problem. You got enough money that you start the game. This ain't no different than selling drugs. I'm sorry. I've never done that. But I've watched enough Power and I've watched enough BMF to understand that at some point you got to get out. At some point you want to get in. You say it's for the money. I listened to T.I. and Country Wayne interview on T.I.'s show yesterday. And you know what they talked about? You gotta have a mindset of this is temporary. If you say you coming for the money, you gotta get in here and you gotta get this money, flip it and get out. But no, they somehow believe that they are family. DeMaurice Smith said they sat down and talked to these players and said this is not a family. If so, it's a dysfunctional family. They said they had to preach to these guys. This is just a job. They take pleasure in breaking down these guys. They like the Stephon Diggs in the locker room. And they punish the Shedeur Sanders for being a good guy because they don't want to see that from you. They want to see the bullshit that they put on the news about black people. And they know you're not like that, but it makes them feel good if you act like it. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I say you trash, I call you trash, and eventually you act like you trash. It is no different than the street game. Whatever the hell it is you doing to get the money, it gotta be temporary or you gonna lose your soul. It ain't no different. It's the same thing. You taking one hell of a risk to put your hand in there and grab millions, but what you gotta give up to get it? Because it sure ain't free. You ain't even got free speech. You can't even disagree. You ain't no different than them dudes out there on the street. Anytime a team is telling Mendoza to get arrested so he could get devalued and dropped to him, that wasn't no joke. Because that's what they do. That's how little they think of you. Oh, I'm going to put you through the most horrible, worst thing possible and ruin your life just so I can pay you less money. But I ain't going to never do that to Mendoza, but I'm going to joke about it with him. Y'all waiting on these white players to grow a conscience. I'm sure they picked them for a reason. Like they picked you for a reason. The NFL don't want quarterbacks like Shedeur. Good black excellence. We don't want that. Yeah, they don't want that. But they didn't tell him that when they kept showing up there to scout him. You see, that's the difference. Then why you show up? Because you want to lure him somewhere and you want to break him so he could be what you want him to be so he can't go off and be nothing nowhere else. That's criminal. Luring people for the sole purposes of breaking their spirit so they're not good enough to go succeed somewhere else. What the hell? But that's what it is. That's what it is. You have not heard Haslam talk about Shedeur's skill set one time, so he need to be made to explain how was he going to draft him at number 2. You clearly was supposed to be evaluating him, right? You said you was going to get him, but then you still had Deshaun. So Deshaun not over there for his skill set. Deshaun didn't get paid for his $230 million skill set. He's being contained and humiliated and toyed around with like a puppet. Because that's what we paid you to do. And when his contract up, him and his wife do need to do whatever she said and go relocate and go live your life out loud. Everything in that article was fake. Facts, all of it. It said, is it true Shiloh is trying out with the Browns? It could be. It could be. They need $600 million. Anything goes. Anything goes. Understand this. Everything Haslam trying to say is supposed. He can't even fake for the cameras to pretend to like Shedeur as a quarterback so he could sell $600 million worth of anything. He can't even do it. He can't even just be fake and positive like people do in marketing, whether they like you or shit because I need money. He can't even fake it. He don't like him because he's a black quarterback and nobody wants to accept that. All you got to do is look at how he treats black quarterbacks and ask yourself, why the hell did you pay Deshaun all that money for real? Maybe that's the question people start asking themselves, and they'll stop bringing up Deshaun's contract, knowing they don't even talk about Justin Tucker, and he ain't getting no money. But he over there somewhere. They talk about what they want to talk about. They trash who they want to trash. You can't say you love the game as an excuse to come to a league that don't value as black man, because I don't like black people, period. I don't want them in leadership positions. I don't want them coaching. I'm willing to play the game and go get some HBCU coaches and make them low level, so I'll never, ever bring them on up here to the front. That's all they doing. Let's see how long it take them to get promoted. They better act like they got street sense and get it while you can, and have a plan to move on out with it. Because if I'm getting rid of everybody that's black that I can see, I can't see you. And we comfortable with you being a low-level coach because it makes us feel better. Why do these black men keep playing this football game that they claim to love on these people's terms and not their own? OT7 just had a commissioner to resign because he was cheating. If you're going to cheat the players, why are you signing up to work with the players if your goal is just to cheat them? Because it make you feel good because they black and you not, and you want to stick it to it good. You spend your every waking moment trying to ruin their lives. That's a sickness. That's a sickness. Flacco has definitely been briefed, but I believe he got to know Shedeur for himself. Yeah, he did. He did. And that's why I brought that up, because in the beginning, Flacco was cold because, all these anecdotal stories about Shedeur, but he got to know Shedeur over time. Flacco also realized I did not get off my couch. Well, he knew for a fact he never got off his couch for $4 million. Flacco knew that Shedeur could get him to them incentives. He knew it. And when he was palling around with Shedeur, what did they do? They benched him. And they thought they was going to treat Flacco like they treated whoever else that Tony Brown or anybody else in Njoku. He was like, And I told y'all mid-season, the white people can get out. The black ones can't, except for Devin Bush. I was sure wonder why. It's given. It's shown it's given. For Devin Bush to be treated like he white when he clearly is not. I did see him over there at Shedeur house. I don't know, it's just a little weird. Just a little weird situation now. I just wonder what the hell, how it is that this the one black guy who at Shedeur house, which got to be worse than Njoku, gravitate towards Shedeur publicly on a football field, got to be worse than Tony Brown walking out of a tunnel at a workplace. Here it is. Devin Bush goes to his private residence. And yet he's elevated. He's sent over to Chicago. And he is first string. And his charges of domestic violence are dropped. Well, God damn. What was it about him hanging out at Shedeur's house that got him all of that? What y'all think? At whose behest? Because nobody else that's black that gravitated towards Shedeur at work got a job, let alone first string, on another team. Why Njoku ain't on another team? Probably because they retaliate against him. Well, why they make an exception for Devin Bush? Y'all got any thoughts? I'm just saying. Ain't that something? I'm just saying. Devin Bush may have been getting intel. No, he clearly got some. Coach M said he hadn't even heard from Dylan over the phone. Well, damn. And so they covering for Dylan. Okay. All right. Things that make you go, I know that's right. I know that's right. I know that. I know that's right. I know that's right. Yeah, everybody knows Shedeur is lit. You have never heard Haslam talk about Shedeur's skill set. So I'm trying to figure out when they made the decision to get him at number 2, what the hell was it based on? Because you can't even address his skills. You have never addressed his skills, but you have let us know that you don't like him. So was y'all pretending? And in business, that's illegal. It's a bait and switch. And how long y'all been doing this? Who else you do it to? I'll say. So we're gonna leave it right there for tonight. You know, the observation, what has become obvious is the things that were said about Shedeur before the draft were done to Shedeur in Cleveland, and Haslam has repeated some of them. It's obvious that the black people that gravitated towards Shedeur are no longer employed in the NFL, whether it's in Njoku or Tony Brown, but the white players are like Flacco and Wyatt Teller. But then there's this one black player who could be the linchpin to all of it and might have some information about the robbery since he was at Shedeur's house and now he worked for Chicago Bears as a first string. Odd behavior for somebody that's black and was hanging out with Shedeur. His case was dismissed. Quid pro quo. You want your case dismissed? I need you to do something for me. Is it a possibility? I mean, if it was a Tyler Perry movie, I'd say so. I mean, I was watching Beauty and Black, and it seemed like something that happened on there. Cozying up to people so you could rob them. Not even casing the joint, but just being over there so I could get that access. Yeah. Suddenly your case is dropped. I told y'all then I wanted to watch and see what happened. Not only did the case get dropped, here it is, you are first string on the Chicago Bears. What you had to do for that? Nobody else black got treated that way. And you was closer to Shedeur than the people at his job. Just saying. What happened to I am my brother's keeper? Well, that's it for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow. My basketball show might turn into a video because I had some things to talk about today, but I didn't make it back in time to go live. So I might just turn it into a video and we'll just pick up on the live. I'm trying to decide if I'll be able to use this platform, and it might. I think I might be able to use this platform for us to watch South Carolina play UConn. So I got to test it out to see because I don't know. This is my first time coming back over here. Shout out to y'all. The poll ended 87% said yes, Jerry Judy should be traded before training camp. So we're going to keep an eye on that and see what's going on. Let me know what you know. If you DM me, I can get back to you. I appreciate all the tips that y'all been giving out. Tamika, go watch Shiloh, Shedeur, Bucky, Florida. They were live in Miami on Twitch. Go check that out if you haven't. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Thanks for watching What She Said Sports, everybody. I truly appreciate y'all. Have a good night.